All right. Welcome back, guys. Episode 2 of the Noisy Trombone.
That's Jesse. I'm Richard. And again, this week we have a very special week. It's going to be our first week, first episode of having a guest speaker. And the guest speaker today is Matthew Arnst, our lifelong friend since high school, man. Oh, at least me since high school. Jesse since a little further than that. And we're going to have Matt introduce himself. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, what's up, guys? I'm Matt. I've been friends with Jesse and Richard here for a while. Just excited to be here to witness and be a part of the early stages of the Noisy Trombone podcast. So I think this should be a good time.
Yeah, welcome, Matt. What's going on? Real quick, guys. We're sorry about the audio from last week. We're still, working things out, trying to make things sound better. We've been in the studio for the last 5 hours trying to figure out how to not have echo.
Yeah. Even to right now, it's still kind of scuffed. I mean, we have to take some extra measures just to make sure that everything is good to go. But from what everything is looking like it's going smoothly so far.
Yeah.
Right?
Just growing pains.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks for bearing with us. We actually got 70 views on our last YouTube video, which is awesome. So if you guys watched that one and are watching this one, thank you. We really appreciate it.
That's about 69 more views than I thought we were actually going to get. So that's nice.
I was one of them.
Yeah, thanks, man. All right, first topic today. Some popular culture. Thoughts on the Astroworld Fest meltdown? What do you want to call it? Massacre?
I have, and I'm going to talk about, on that same day, me and Ashley went to a Slipknot concert. We're not going to talk about that today. We're going to save that for another day because that's a whole another great story that I have behind that. And we wanted to put our 2 cents into this because, this situation that happened it happened with people that were our age. So I feel like we can relate to this kind of stuff. And I have a strong opinion on it myself, but I wanted to bring it up just to see if these guys had an opinion on it or anything. So it really was very extremely serious. X amount of people passed away, and that isn't cool because coming from where I was just at a concert, and then as soon as what happened was when we were on our way home, I went on my phone and it was all over Twitter, the craziest people are dying and oh my god, especially me coming from a concert, whoa, the same thing that just happened, and it was tragedy. And I do want to talk about it a little bit though.
Yeah, and I think at least from what I see, I think it definitely has to do with the crowd that Travis brings in. Because if I'm thinking it back to even when I went to Escape last weekend, there was nothing like that. Because I was talking to Sam about the event, my parents, and I don't know if you guys saw the videos of the people jumping the fence off rip. As soon as the event started, people were jumping over. I mean, in my opinion, that should already be your security is not where it's at. You know what I mean?
That's an immediate red flag. Those videos, and the thing is that that happened hours before Travis went on, hours. So there's no way that Travis and his team didn't see it when they were in backstage and did something. And whether they did something about it or not, we'd never know. Unless obviously they publicly put it out, but I doubt it. Unless they did something about it or not, though, it's better precautions could have been. Did you see the security guards that were there? They were volunteers. I could have been a security guard. And there's mad people running through, and they're trying to grab them. Well, what? It's there's no way.
Yeah, and some of them weren't even trying to stop any of them. They were kind of just standing there watching, looking on, not doing anything. So
yeah,
tragic.
From what I saw too, I saw one video on Twitter and it was dude, this dude was just straight shoulder checking people to the ground, and then they're just getting up and walking away. But I was what the fuck are you doing? You're just knocking people to the ground. You're not even they're still getting in.
The security guard.
Yeah, he was straight shoulder checking kids, dude, straight into the ground.
There was another security guard, I think, sticking out her foot and tripping kids too, and they were running through.
That's so ridiculous. Why? I know that's what I'm saying. The video I saw was this one guy was just trying to grab people that were running by, but after 5 people passed him, there's no chance. There's no chance that anything was gonna get from that. And aside from that, though, again, I was saying, that happened hours before the actual he performed, and as we know of today, he's under lawsuits, and so is Drake. I'm pretty sure because he's almost equally at fault. Like, there's no way that you're from the stage, like a view of the crowd. I just don't see how you can't like notice that things are happening. Like, there's like sirens, and regardless if you're singing or like there's music like blasting in your ears, like as a performer, like there were medical staff like in the crowd. Like, there was red and blue lights, like of those like golf carts or whatever that the EMS was using to get to the people that were injured and whatnot. But my thing was that he didn't stop performing.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out who, like, if one of my family members passed away at the Astroworld Fest, right? Who do I sue here? Because is it like the Travis Scott company and like the brand, or is it him as a person? Because I feel like it's not just the artist that's at fault. Because there's also some TikToks I saw that went viral that like they're talking to the camera crew and the production company, and they're telling him like pretty much get the fuck off the stick, get out of here. You know, like this is gonna happen. So I don't know who the lawsuit gets filed against, I guess.
There's a video that Ashley saw of this girl, and she's like a event planner, and that it was something like she had ties in with like what was going on that night, and that something about that Travis before he performed, that he was letting like, you know, had a little like pep talk with like all the staff that was on duty, right? And that he was saying, no matter what happens, like, we're continuing the show. And I watched the video, and it was like it's like chilling. Like, I got goosebumps. Like he made it like so known that like no matter what happens, like, we're continuing. Like, if things are going like south where the show is going, and then you see those like super creepy videos of like Travis like staring. Have you seen that video of Travis staring at that one guy that's down?
He's like he's standing on the big podium, kind of like looking down, and like as there's EMTs like picking the guy up. Right?
And everyone was saying that specific video, that it was like some like satanic like ritual that he was doing. Obviously, like, that's doing too much.
Yeah, I saw some funny ass like TikTok comment. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make a joke out of this. I swear, like, obviously this is extremely severe, but like I saw this TikTok where it was like 2 minutes long, and this girl explaining how like the whole festival is like some satanic ritual, and the top comment is, people will believe this, but they still won't get the COVID vaccine. And I was dying, dude.
It's like, it's almost hard to laugh at like stuff like that, though. Like, not at like the situation, but like you're taking it way out of context. Like, there obviously it wasn't like some unless it was, which I doubt. Like, there's no way.
Well, for me, it's just like I said. I think it's the atmosphere he brings in. It's like, you know, just party hard until like, you know, the show stops. You know what I mean? But like that's what happens. Yeah. And you know, if you see the fans, like if you see some of the videos of the people in the pit, like they don't even help each other out. Like, they're stomping each other out.
And that's one thing that I've been to multiple Slipknot concerts, and I can guarantee you that Slipknot's music is 10 times like more hardcore than Travis Scott's music is. I guarantee you. So the fact that like I've been to concerts where like Corey Taylor, the lead singer, he sees like the crowd in the mosh pit like go crazy, and like if someone goes down and someone's injured, I've been to it where he's literally stopped the entire show like in the middle of a song. And then at that point, I'm not even like mad at him. I'm just like, you know, because he's like everybody stop, like everybody get back, like, and then people do it, like they listen. And that was one thing that I was talking to my parents about, because I feel like the reason why they did, like, the fans themselves weren't helping each other is because like he has them in a trance, like almost like a trance, like where they will do anything to like for Travis. Like, they just want to get to the stage. They want to like be able to like even like just like touch him or something like while he's performing. It's horrible.
And I thought it was weird that it wasn't like an age restricted event. Like, there's people that are 10 years old here. You know what I mean? Because I think at the festival I just went to, it was 18 plus. So at least that eliminates the children getting injured too. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, like, if I'm a parent, I'm not letting my kid go to Astrofest. But like, you know, he's a Fortnite character, so you're gonna have kids that are gonna be fans of his music.
Did you hear that he got taken off of Fortnite? Like, I wonder how that affects him. I wonder if he still gets paid for, like, I'm sure, like, there's no way they keep him in the game if he doesn't get paid, right? But I heard he got taken off of Fortnite. That's actually pretty crazy, because hey, that's Declan's favorite Fortnite skin. I hope you know.
Yeah, well, even if they wanted to filter out, like, I don't know, by a certain age, I mean, we saw the video of all the kids storming in, so there could have been kids in that group that were under 18, whatever, but it's tough.
Well, I just think this kind of sheds a light on like just going forward for other performers too. Like, there's got to be more security at these events because like when you see the one dude like blocking hundreds of people, like that's bullshit. You know what I mean?
There's a petition. I got a notification from like the Los Angeles County saying that there's this petition going around to get Travis off the lineup for Coachella. Did you hear about? I haven't read into it, but I just saw the news, like the title. So if that's like an actual thing, like I'm on board. I mean, I don't know if. What do you feel like? Do you think that Travis should be canceled for this?
I think it's hard to say, man. I think, well, I liked his music before. You know, I'm a fan of, or I was. I don't know if I can even still be a fan, but I was a fan of Travis. That's where I'm kind of coming from, where I don't know who should really take the fall for this, whether it's the production company or it's Travis or it's Astro, because I'm pretty sure the Astro Fest thing, like that has to be its own entity. You know what I mean?
I'm sure that Texas has like some kind of like festival that they do, but the Astro World is like Travis's like his thing. But I think that he just like took like their festival that they do in Texas and made it kind of his own because I'm sure he's the biggest artist that has come from that state, right? So, but I know what you're saying. I don't know who should get blamed for it either, but definitely the immediate like the biggest performers that came, like obviously Travis Scott and then obviously Drake, should be equally like punished, whether it's like the management team that gets or the promoting or whoever. Like someone's gonna get like ripped for it, and I can guarantee you that Travis and Drake are gonna equally fall into there. Like there's no way they don't.
Yeah, I agree. All right, on to some more lighter topics. So we brought Matt here today because look, so we're all either graduated or we're almost about to graduate. So we thought it'd be cool to have a little segment regarding job interviews. You know, I mean, I feel like everybody has like funny interview stories and whatnot, and like job hunting is super relevant. Like I'm still interviewing. I know Richard just got a position, and Matt had an interview today.
Yes, and Matt has saved that interview because we're obviously like, as you know, one of Matt's like better, closer friends, right? We're super supportive in like anything that he's doing in his life. So he's been keeping us up to date on like his interview process. And what, it's your fourth one coming up?
Yeah, I had my fourth one today.
Yeah, and like he was gonna tell us about it, but we told him to like hold it off because you know we want to make sure that like we get our genuine reactions. I'm sure it went well.
Yeah,
I mean, by the previous ones, I know it went well, but we want to hear how the final one went, how everything went. So how'd it go?
Yeah, no, I was wondering why these guys didn't ask me how I did this morning. Yeah, it was okay. It was like, I think it's the final round interview. I've already had 3 interviews prior to this one. It was just 2 hours, technical coding assessment pretty much for a software engineering role in San Francisco. I thought it went all right, but I think I have to wait till later this week or next week to really find out.
So I know you were telling me that, wait, the last one was the more formal one, right? Or something like that?
No, today was, I think, the most formal. The one last week was more of like the going through the motions. I don't know, similar to the last one that you had.
I see. Okay. I see. Yeah, so I was talking to Matt about it, and like what you're saying. Wait, but today was your fourth?
Yeah, fourth.
What did you do? Oh, you said you had a test.
Yeah, it was a test. It was essentially a Zoom call. So I hopped on a Zoom call and got sent a couple files with a list of instructions and just worked on it for 2 hours. The person who was interviewing me kind of just sat on the Zoom call, just monitoring, was there if I had any questions, and that was it. I kept my camera on.
Was it technical, like problems? Like, did you have to solve something, or were you given like a set of like values and you had to do something with them, or how was it? Like, what was it like? And were you sharing your screen?
No, I wasn't sharing my screen. But to answer your question, it was essentially supposed to be some sort of like a workplace simulation test. in the sense that it's like tasks that you would actually do if you were working at the company. So just like a bunch of different problems from different areas, building programs that do one thing, building programs that do another thing.
And
things like
what, if you don't mind me asking, what language was it in? Python?
I think it was just up to the interviewee, so I chose Python. That's what I'm most comfortable in. But
Yeah, and I was like talking more about well, why I wanted to bring this up too is because like coding, that's super unique, like just to software, you know, because like the interviews I've had, I'm like in life science and stuff. I'm like a STEM major, so I never do hands-on stuff in my interviews. It's very like behavioral analysis and like just talking to me as a person. But I know, like, have you guys ever bombed an interview before?
I don't think I've been to an interview where I bombed it. I haven't. Well, okay, I got to think about like my previous employers were Foot Locker. Like, how do you bomb a Foot Locker interview? So, I mean, I got lucky enough where the job that I applied for happened to be a big boy job. So, and I feel like I got really lucky, whether it is or not. But I don't feel like I bombed an interview. But I did have like an experience where the interviewer was being like really, really weird to me. And I honestly don't know if I should talk about it because this is the person I'm going to be like working for. Yeah, so maybe I won't talk about it that much, but just so you guys know, but it went well because otherwise I wouldn't have got the actual job, right? So I just think that it was kind of odd, like the things that they were asking me at first, like the get to know you interview, but then like the technical ones, like it was fine because then I was talking about like software, the previous experience I've done, and like explaining some stuff, and then like problems, right, that I had to solve as well, which were like pretty like formal that like even like Matt did. But aside from that, before we continue, I want to make sure that everyone wishes Matt good luck because we were doing the same thing. I'm sure everything went well, but just in case, man, he's really banking on it from what he's telling us. It pretty much is. Otherwise, he's gonna start from square one.
Yeah. Actually, though, I kind of stopped applying places because I'd been in this process, you know, kind of nearing the finish line, I guess. But like I applied for a company like a month ago, and they just got back to me like last week. So I also had an interview yesterday too, like first time around with another company. But so I'm not completely back to square one, but practically.
It's for the same title, right?
This one is more for like business intelligence analyst role.
Right.
I don't know. I really want to go into software though, so.
Yeah. No. Yeah. How did that go? How was it? Obviously, it was different, but like, what did they ask you? Did they ask you any technical questions?
No, that one was just with a recruiter. So just all behavioral. She kind of was pitching the job to me. And that one, I got sent like a take-home challenge, I guess, to submit later this week.
Yeah.
Dude, and real quick, dude, I really dislike recruiters, dude. I've had 2 interviews with actual people that work in the company, but I don't know whoever's listening if like you've applied or had an interview like at a big boy job, but it's like through a recruiter most of the time, and it's just straight like a script that they have to read to you. Like I got a call for another company up in Santa Barbara, and I got a recruiter on the phone, and I remember a specific question she asked me. I still might work here, but I don't care. She was like, oh yeah, are you good at like hands-on work, like hands-on problem solving? And you know, like I'm just gonna go into it, like I'm gonna have like an example, right? Because why not? So I'm like, yeah, like would you want like a workplace example? Do you want a academic example? And she hits me with the, no, it's a yes or no question. And I was like, oh, yeah, I do. She's like, all right, check that box. Next question.
That's so stupid. Why? That's so ridiculous.
Yeah, but I think Matt, when we were driving over here, because I picked up Matt, you said you bombed an interview. Give us that story.
Oh yeah, well, the first interview I ever did for like for a big boy job, I guess we're calling it. Was I think like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. It was for an analytics engineer role, so it's like a little bit of both, like software engineer, a little bit of like analytics. And you know, I'd done all this prep beforehand, like super nervous for my first interview, but everything I saw, everything I read online is like, like just like know your skills, know your resume, like and you'll be all right for the first one. And the interview was going pretty well until they asked me about a project on my resume that I had done like 2 years before. And like I just straight up told them I didn't know, like I didn't remember. And
But I mean, we've all lied on our resume, or is that just me?
I mean, yeah, I've stretched the truth, but like I come up with stories that if they were to ask me about it, like I could answer it as if I actually did all those things, which like I really, sometimes with my resume, like I make it sound better than it is. That's just selling yourself. But I've never been in a situation where I've had to like, I don't know, tell them like I don't remember this.
I don't think. I mean, let me take that back because you didn't lie. You just
No, yeah,
it was
I
just a
just-
long time ago, right?
I literally went through everything on my resume, and that was the last thing. And I was like, they're not gonna ask me about this because it's not really related to the job. But it was about a machine learning algorithm that I had made. And I guess the guy who interviewed me was like super into machine learning, and so that was like the one thing that he asked.
Right. That's the kind of luck that that happens. Is like the one thing that you're not prepared for,
Yeah.
regardless of how much you prepare for an interview, is the thing that they ask you, right?
Yeah.
But what did he say? Is that where you bombed it though?
I think so, because I thought it was going super well up until that point. And then like I could tell after that one, like I tried to think out loud for a little bit.
He just wasn't
And
having
then
it.
it kind of got shut down, and then from then on it was like total like mood shift kind of like. I think they probably just assumed like I didn't know anything on my resume and like lied about it. But it was actually a good lesson, because right after that interview I went back and like revisited my project, make sure I knew everything about it, and then in my interview process for this other company, they actually asked me about that, and like I was able to give a really good answer. So
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of funny because like I'm sure in the moment you're like probably beating yourself up, but like that. But going forward now, like you got to come up with some sort of like phony baloney story at least, so that if you ever get asked that question again, you don't freeze up.
Yeah, of course. I think for me, on my resume, all there really is I worked at Foot Locker. So, but when they did ask me about that, I mean, I told them I definitely bent the truth at least. But I you know what? Because like you're saying, I didn't lie. Like I just made myself look better than what my resume actually said. And that just got into like when they're asking me like, oh, what did you do at Foot Locker? Well, as a manager. I didn't tell them I was assistant manager, which is not really like store manager. Oh, did you lead a team? And I was like, yeah, I did. A team of like 20, 25. Like, oh wow, like that's a lot, But the reality is, like day-to-day basis, you go into a Foot Locker, there's only about 5 or 6 people that are in the actual store, but it was a team full of 25. So at some point, I have managed all 25 of them, right? So I didn't lie, but I mean, maybe just a couple little small details like that I left out. But in the end, I do feel like that was one thing that I wanted to get out of working at Foot Locker, actually, that I talk about, is that it's a good starter job and it's really easy to get into management. And I feel like I got a lot of good experience managing a store, like regardless of whether I'm going to use like knowledge of registers in the future, but like aside from that, like having like operational knowledge and like how businesses work, how billion-dollar businesses like Foot Locker, like I understand how it works. And I think that like long term, that 100% helped me out, like super. And I will say that over and over again for the rest of my life.
That is like I just thought of like a bit. It'd be so funny if like we go to apply for a job and they fucking bring up our YouTube video of us saying we lie on our resume.
I know, that's why I tried not to do so much. I didn't lie. I just extended the truth, and who doesn't though, right?
Well, I was gonna say,
Everyone's
funny
doing it.
enough, like, cause I have really amateur experience, like when it comes to jobs. Like I worked 2 like minimum wage jobs before this, like no actual professional experience when what I want to go into. Partly because of COVID. I'm sure like everybody understands COVID just fucked everything up. But yeah, I know what you're saying, because I was a golf shop attendant, which really just means I sit in the store and like if you want to buy like a golf club, I bring you out, real basic shit. But also like when the manager's not there, I'm technically in charge. So like I was like a manager of the golf shop.
Bro, no, you did not.
I did. And I get asked about it, and I'm like, yeah, like, the manager was never there, so like I had a team of like 4 to 5 people. It was one person, dude. But what are they,
There was at least 4 to 5 people working there, though, right?
we had like
Yeah, but you were just like, it was a one-on-one kind of thing every day.
I had to check off one person every night before I went home, which is the dude that cleans the golf carts. But on my resume, I was like, yeah, we had like a team of 15. Like, it was a big operation, and I was the head. So yeah, I know what you mean by like, I didn't lie, but I didn't tell the full truth, I guess is the way to put it.
But I mean, like, you can, like, for people that are trying to interview for like big boy jobs that we're calling it, I went on YouTube and I was like looking up like interview. Like, I feel like that's just a great way to get prepared. Like, people who are just figuring out like things that you can talk about and what answers to give. And they say, like, you know, on your resume, you don't have to say exactly like what you did, but you know, you can bend it around a little bit. Like, it's not a bad thing. Like I'm saying, like, everybody does it. You know, it's not like horrible to do, but yeah, it's all like goofy experiences. But anyway, getting back to Matt's bomb of I'm sure like Matt said though, he got the experience out of it, which was probably the biggest thing, right? And I'm sure he's gonna use that experience going into his possible new employment, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, you know, it was the first interview I ever did, so pretty much. So wasn't expecting to do that great anyway. But.
Yeah, and real quick, I want to say too, because I, excuse me, I didn't know any of like interviewing stuff before, because I worked 3 minimum wage jobs while I was going to school, and all 3 of the interviews were like 2 minutes. Like, you walk in, I don't know if like Foot Locker's the same. Like, I walk in and they're like, "What's your name?" And like I give them my name and they're like, "All right, like you start on Wednesday. Like, congrats."
100%. I applied, got a call the next week. Hey, to interview, what's your name, date of birth, you know, social security, obviously driver's license. And they asked me, what do you know about shoes, and do you know how to talk to people? Yes and yes. All right, you're good. Start next Tuesday. And comparing that to my new position that I'm going to be starting in December, it was completely different. The process took literally 2.5 months, and it was god awful. It was even like Matt said, like, I stopped applying to places too, just because like I was so into this. Like, every day I'm checking emails. Every day, like, I'm even like those spam calls that we're getting, like scam likelies, I was answering them, because what if my phone thought that like the HR guy that was gonna call me to give me the position, what if my phone thought that he was like a scam, right? I was answering every single call, everything.
Yeah, I actually have like a specific story when like I applied at the golf course. I walked in for my interview, and he sits me down and he's like, "All right, like, it says here like you're going to UCLA, like that's great, like, do you know how to golf?" And I was like, yeah, like I you know, I probably wouldn't have applied here. Like, I know, like, I've played golf before. I've been golfing for a while. He's like, all right. And then, so this is like that was the first question. And then he goes, all right, so like, tell me about islands. Cause I worked at islands before as like a host and busser. So I start talking. I'm like, yeah, so I worked at islands. And then he gets a phone call, and he picks up the phone call. He's like, yeah, give me 1 sec. And he's talking on the phone. And then like, he tells the person on the phone, he's like, yeah, can you give me 1 sec? And he goes back to me and he's like, yeah, bro, you just come in next Wednesday for onboarding. You can go ahead and go.
I gotta deal with this.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta deal with this. And I was like,
yeah,
I was like, all
you're
right,
good.
bro, I'll see you next week.
You're good to come in.
So,
bleeding off of that though.
Oh yeah, real quick, guys. Because our camera at the moment only does 30-minute clips, so we're gonna give a cut right now, but we'll be right back in a second. And welcome back, guys. Sorry for the little cut. Yeah, interviews. So Matt wants to give a real quick story before we segue into the next little portion of the pod.
Oh yeah. I guess I just wanted to touch on one thing. I know you guys were talking about, like, you know, jobs like before, like the part-time, you know, whatever.
Minimum wages.
Yeah, minimum wage jobs. My experience has kind of been similar with those, where the interviews, you know, are pretty quick, like to the point. But I had one experience where I was doing I had applied to this job at the school gym at Berkeley, and I got called in to do a group interview with like 8 other students who all applied for the job, and like I think that interview lasted like an hour and a half, and we just like went around the circle taking turns answering like behavioral questions, like, tell me about a time where you did this, like, tell me about a time where you did this, stuff like that. And like one person just, like, that was also in the interview, I think around like 45 minutes, just stood up and like walked out of the room.
No way. Are you serious? Wait, how many people were there?
I think there were 8 of us. right? And I think most of us got the job, but I just thought it was really funny because first off, we were doing this like hour and a half long interview, like for a job where we ultimately were just like sitting at the front desk, and like every 30 minutes we'd go around and pick up sweaty towels and wash them.
And I was gonna
Like,
say I've never had a group interview, so
yeah, that was my first.
Wow.
time
Okay.
with that.
I don't mean to take up too. I'm gonna make this super fast. But speaking of group interviews, that actually just totally reminded me. I did bomb an interview before. I applied before I got Foot Locker. I applied to AMC at Santa Anita, and I had a group interview, and it was like 10 of us, and they took us in this room, and the interviewer was like, "Hey, so like, do you guys have like a love for like movies and stuff? Like, tell us about like your love for movies." I have no love for movies. Like I like watching movies and like they're fun, but like I'm not that guy that has every poster of like every movie I've seen, like a movie enthusiast or anything. Like that's not me. But there is this he probably does. So making this quick, there was this one guy that spoke probably for like 30 minutes straight when like we were going around the circle, and just like, yeah man, oh I love movies. Like yeah, I camped out for this movie. I went for this movie. I flew over to over here. There's exclusive movie preview at this one theater. And I was just like, what the hell? And they came around to me and I was like, well, I mean, like I come to the movie. Like, but yeah, it's like, and they were just like, oh,
I
all right, next, But yeah, just to touch in on that. I did bomb that interview.
And then, speaking of, this wasn't really a bomb because I still got the job, but I also worked valet at UCLA for a bit for the hospital. And like, I remember, so not only did we have to do an interview, but I had to take a behind the wheel test because they had to make sure like I knew how to drive. So like on my interviewer, like it was a second, like all he did was like he talked about how he lived at the beach, and I was like, oh yeah, like I love going to the beach, like like bodyboarding and surfing or whatever. And that was it. That's all we talked about for 20 minutes. And then he was like, oh my god, like look at the time, bro, like you got to go. And I was like, all right. And then I show up to my behind the wheel exam, and it's this like old dude. And so we have to go around the parking garage, and I just have to drive in the parking garage and then reverse into a spot, right? Dude, here, get this, ready? It's like I'm just driving and he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And like I stop and he's like, you just ran like 2 stop signs, bro. And I was like, oh. And dude, they were the most like rinky dink, like somebody slapped a stop sign image onto like a traffic cone and just put it like on the ground. And I was like, dude, I didn't even see it. And the guy was like...
And this was on campus?
It was like it was in the hospital, which is off-site.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's so funny.
Yeah, but, all right, this is the best part though, right? So then like, and he's like, dude, you can't do that. Like if you get the job, like you can't do that. And I was like, yeah, like I'm so sorry. So then I reversed into the spot, and then he's like, all right, so you want the good news or the bad news? And I was like, fuck. I was like, yeah, just like give it to me straight, man. He's like, yeah, there is no bad news. You got the job.
He did not say that to you, bro. No way.
Got him.
And I was just like, oh. I was like, huh? That was my funny story. So now you gonna wrap it up real quick? Anything else you want to say about that?
Nah, I think that covers it.
All right.
Yeah.
So like I said earlier, I've known Matt forever. We've known Richard since high school. We all played baseball, and this is like we wanted to talk about this because this is like a really funny story that we all played baseball in high school. Well, like I almost played 4 years. Richard almost played 3 years. Matt played all 4 years, but like the disbandment or whatever, the collapse of the baseball team was on Richard actually.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna call it. So we did, and how did it start? Oh, you know what? Did it start with that one game? That's when it started, right? When everything like went to crap.
Ball off the hat.
Yeah. So let me give the kind of breakdown. What school? It was in
Rosemead.
Yeah. So I was playing right field, I believe. No, left field. Yeah, I was left field, right?
And I remember.
Oh yeah, I was left field.
I played third base for the high school team.
Yeah, so that's
right
why.
Behind me, or shortstop, one of them.
Yeah, so I was playing left field, and were we losing this game? No, so we're not doing very good.
Yeah, I know the story. I remember that shit. Like, cause I told this to Sam. Like, I tell this story a lot because I think it's so funny. So in our division, we were like really neck and neck to see who gets to go to CIF. Those of you that played high school sports, like, whatever, it's like a big deal. Hindsight, it's like bullshit. We were like Division 15. Like, nobody gave a fuck about our games. But so we were really close. We were neck and neck with Rosemead, and I think we were ahead by like 1 or 2 runs. Like, it was a really tight game. And a ball gets hit to Richard, who's playing left field. Dude takes it off the head somehow. The ball fucking bounces out of his glove and hits him in the head. And then instead of, like, there's no recovery. Dude sits there and laughs while the other guy gets.
What are you supposed to do when you're like? I played baseball, and I wasn't one to take it like super serious. I don't know, like if they did or not. But I didn't take it like super serious. So I went to catch the ball. I remember, and then it bounced out of my glove, and it bounced up, and then it donked me in the head, and it fell off. Like, what are you supposed to do when that happens? Like, there's no coming back, like you said. The thing that I did was I started laughing. Like, it was funny. I picked up the ball and I threw it in. Like, what are you supposed to do?
No,
like, not laugh? Like, I don't know.
Bro, no. He hits him in the head, and this dude just starts cracking up, bro. Like pivotal game. Like, we're really trying to win this game. So he starts like cracking up, like, oh, ha, ha. Finally gets the ball in. The game gets tied up. I remember specifically, I look over into the dugout because we had like, I'm not gonna name drop, but we had a coach that was like, he was like an ex. Dude swore like he was a Hall of Famer, bro. Dude played in the big leagues for like half a season, and he was a straight AAA player. But I remember I look over and this dude like grabs the trash can from the dugout and just like chucks it across to the other side.
No, he did not.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
You remember that?
I never looked into the dugout after.
Straight like chucks it, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be like a long bus ride home. But
and keep in mind, like Jesse's saying, that he was really hard on us. Not like very strict, but like when he was really hard on us about mistakes that we would make, and if you were to like make any kind of mistake, he'd really ream you for it. And for sure, I knew I was gonna get reamed. But again, keep in mind, like, I didn't really care. Like this, I really didn't. So I knew it was gonna happen. I didn't know that he threw the. Yeah, that's actually super funny. I know that sounds like. Did he break another clipboard?
I think he threw the bucket.
No, it was the trash can, because I remember, because it's those metal ones that are really easy to. Sorry to shut you down. It's one of the metal ones that the metal ones that you can dent really easily. It's like almost looks like it's like aluminum foil. Yeah, because he chucked it and that shit came out the wall and it was like this. And the umpire just like kind of looked over. He was like, hey.
And then he sat Richard, I think, for the rest of the game.
So I got sat, but for the reason is after that inning, we went into the dugout and we sat down. And I remember he walked over to me. I don't remember this vividly, but I do remember he walked over to me and he just started like letting me have it. And it kind of made me mad. So you know how when you get mad, like you just kind of like, I was just adding into the fire that he was already mad. So when he was telling me like stop talking, I was just like, okay. And then he was just like stop talking, and I was just like, okay, like I will, but I was really just doing that just to like spite him, and it was definitely working. Again, like I could care less. So I don't mean to be like a bad sport or like, try to be a jerk about it, but how old were we? 16, 17? Like, yeah, like come on, and he was taking it as if we lost the World Series or something. Like it was a funny moment, and regardless of how serious the game was, like I got out of it more the donk on the head than like a win if we were to have won. I don't remember if we did or not.
No, we lost.
Okay, even if we had to have won, I would have remembered the donk on the head better than that.
Well,
definitely.
And like, this kind of started the whole like collapse, because at that point, me and Matt were like, the way he described this is word for word. Matt was the president of the baseball team, and I was the vice president, treasurer, secretary. Remember when he said that to us in the fucking?
I don't know. My memory is very fuzzy.
On the casting couch in the PE room, that fucking weird room they have up there.
Wait, at the top, right? Yeah. He took me to up there. By the way, one time 1-on-1 after this, and okay, I want to get into the bus ride home. So the bus ride home, I'm sure was very quiet. I don't remember exactly. So we get to the field, and I get to the we're grabbing the stuff, putting it back. Who was that one? The JV coach. What was his name?
Savon.
No, it wasn't Savon.
Was it Makiyama?
Makiyama?
Yes, there it is.
We're not supposed to
Yes.
we didn't name drop the varsity coach. I don't know why we just name dropped him.
Yeah, I don't know why I just name dropped him, but anyway,
We'll
so
leave that out.
that guy, the JV coach came with us to the game, or was he already at the field? One or the other. So all I remember is I got to the field, got back to our school, and I was putting my stuff away, and then our coach came up to me with the JV coach, and he was like, you know, blah, 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 what happened back there, like, that's unacceptable, like, you talking back to me, this and that, and I was like, okay, like, for sure. And he wanted an apology out of me. So this was the one thing that spited everything, was that he was like, I want an apology. I want you to say sorry to me. And he had me, like face to face. And, again, I'm, like, 16, 17, and I was just like, I was kind of being a jerk to him, because I was like, no, I'm not going to apologize to you. Like, I don't see what I did wrong. And he was like, you know, you laughed, and then you talked back to me when we got the dugout, this and that. And I'm like, okay, like, you know, like, cry about it, you know. So, like, what am I, you know? But his thing was, he asked me about 10 times, like, if you don't apologize to me, like, or to the point where he ended up saying, if you don't apologize to me, like, I'm going to kick you off the team. And then I was like, okay, like, that's fine. And he was like, well, you want me to have a vote to, like, have you kicked off the team? Because I will. Like, this will happen. And I was just like, okay. He was like, so you're not going to say sorry to me? And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to say sorry to you, so you can kick me off the team. Like, it's fine. Like, it's, again, like, I don't really care. Like, go ahead. So that happened when we got back to the field.
Right.
After this was, again, the downfall, because everything went to absolute.
So this was like, it just became like the coach we had was just trying everything to get Richard off the team. Like, we had a team vote, right? And we obviously nobody voted to kick him off, right? From what I remember, right? Yeah, so nobody voted to kick him off.
Everybody was my friend. I don't think he knew that Jesse and Matt were, like, one of my best buddies. So him making them, like, the 2 team captains, and he asked them, like, or personally to vote to see if they would want to kick me off the team, and they said no.
Sorry, no, because we had a team vote, and we voted to
Wait,
kick
when
him
was
off.
that?
Well, we got pulled out of class. Remember this? Or was it during lunch? It was something when we got pulled out, just me and Matt separately than the rest of the team, and we got taken up to his office, which was like it was a fucking room with a computer and a beat up couch, and that was it. That was his office. So he sits on the couch and he's like, like, you guys are like the leaders, whatever, like that whole, like, all this bullshit. And he didn't like me either. So, like, that's why the whole time I'm like, in my head, I'm like, dude, fuck you. But he was like, oh, like, since you guys are like the leaders of the team or whatever, like, I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to decide if Richard gets to stay on the team. And we were just like, or I was like, yeah, like, I don't see, if you want to suspend him, like, whatever, but I'm not gonna vote to kick him off.
I want to know Matt's take on this, because, like, what was going through your head? Because I've talked to Jesse about this multiple times, so I never really had a chance to talk to Matt about it, even though it happened, like, years ago.
Yeah.
But I do want to know, kind of, like, from that game into, like, even making a vote and him, like, coming to you guys personally asking you to throw me off the team, like, what? Like, how did you feel about it? Like, seriously.
Yeah, honestly, like, my memory on the whole thing is, like, super fuzzy, to be honest. But baseball has always been my thing. Like, the sport I grew up playing, that was kind of in my life. I was really trying to play in college, but didn't really work out. So, I mean, I was always going to play. I was always going to be on the team, try to keep the team, like, together. I mean, I remember the times where he brought us in, and I was like, oh, what should we do? Yeah. I think we both were trying to, like, keep you on the team, but then he's like, oh, well, he needs to apologize to me first. Yeah. Something along those lines. But, I mean, he's the coach. Like, I definitely had coaches that were, like, you know, just like that. Like, super, like, they think that, it's kind of hard to explain it, but, like, you know, they think that everything they do is right, and, like, the players owe it to them, you know, to obey or listen or whatever. But I don't know.
Yeah, and it was kind of a funny thing, because he put it on me and Matt to get an apology out of you, pretty much. Like, he's like, yeah, like, why don't you guys just go and talk to him right now and, like, just tell him, like, bro, like, just apologize to the coach. And I was like, I'm not doing that, dude. And, like, funny enough, so all this happens, and then And I just want to like preface this by saying like this dude is in my opinion, like I know we all have our own opinions on like on the coach and like his tactics or whatnot, but like just me personally, like I didn't get along with him, and like I remember a specific quote that after we had just lost like our whatever fucking 10th game in a row because we never won, he pulls us out and he tells us as we're walking off, he's like, I need you guys to go far enough to where nobody can hear you. Like nobody
This story is hilarious. I know exactly what you're gonna say right now. And he would do this. This is a regular thing. This wasn't like
a one and done.
Like this has happened multiple times. But go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, he'll be like, all right, go far enough into the outfield so nobody, like none of your family members can hear you. And we were like, oh shit, like, okay. So we go out there and he was like, if I could right now, I would get my baseball bat and just beat you all with it right now. Here, right now on the field.
Who says that? We were like,
oh, like,
okay. We're in high school. We're not of age to like be making threats like that. Like, there's no way he said that. This grown man is like telling us as like we're children, like that he was gonna whoop us and kill us.
At one point, he literally said, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna like get my baseball bat and kill you guys. And we were like, oh, like, yeah, sorry we lost the game, man. Like, I don't know. What do you want us to fucking say? But there was one time when we go out there, and it was the same thing where, like, you know, we all knew the drill. When he comes in, he's like, all right, go to the same place in the outfield. And we're like, all right, here we go. We go out there, and then he, for whatever reason, he flips it on Matt, and he's like, oh, like, you're the captain of your baseball team doesn't even want to play with you guys. Tell him, Matt. And he's like, no, tell him, Matt.
This was, like, super funny because when he would scream at us, he would get like no feedback out of us because like I feel like a lot of us like had like little to no like real care about like the actual team. So when he would ream us, I wouldn't like no one would really respond to this. Not really.
And like, what are you supposed to say? Like, sorry that like we lost. You know what I mean? What the fuck you supposed like? I just listened and like not in my head, but like there's not really anything you could say. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. So him trying to like get something out of us, he started reaming Matt for this. And I was like shocked. He was like, "Yeah, Matt doesn't even want to play with you guys." And I'm like, "What? Like, why? Like, where did that even come from? Like, I never heard this before." See, I don't know. I want to ask Matt what that was all about. If he actually had some kind of like one-on-one conversation with Coach about this.
And it was funny because like he specifically said he was like, he's been talking to me about transferring to a different school just to get away from you guys. And we were like, "Oh, like we didn't know it was that deep, bro." And yeah, Matt, are you gonna go to LaSalle? Is that factual?
I don't think it was completely factual, but like I mean I think like going into high school, I wanted to switch to another high school down the street to play baseball because you know our baseball program probably wasn't the best in the area, but so I think I probably mentioned that to him once that I think I wanted to go there. And then I think somehow that got turned into that I wanted to transfer while I was there. But
yeah, and then this kind of like this kind of set it off. Like,
sorry.
No, go ahead. I don't want to.
I don't know if he just didn't remember correctly or if he was just saying that. But
I think he was just trying to like drill it home that like we sucked, but we knew like you suck when you lose your 10th. Like we get it. Like we're not good. Like we understood.
All of us got along on the team extremely well. Keep that in mind. So I thought of like I wanted to be involved in sports and involved in the school as much as I could, but at the same time I used like sports, like even playing soccer and baseball as like hangout time with the homies. And that's like some of the funniest stories that we have are from playing baseball. And like even with me and Declan, some of the funniest stories that we have are from soccer. So it's like it was hilarious. I mean, so him bringing up, he was trying to like split us apart or something. I don't know what that was all about. Like, and then the three of us are like one of the closest on the team, right? And he's trying to like split us up. I don't think he understood that like he was going against like a pretty strong trio there. There was no chance.
Yeah, and then like that kind of set it off because I think if I remember correctly, Richard didn't come back after his suspension. He just kind of like he called it quits.
By the way, talking about a suspension, before that happened, I want to talk about how I got suspended before we got to wrap this up a little bit. But real quick, so a vote happens. I don't get kicked off the team, but Okay, I'll bleep that out. I'll bleep that out. Okay, you didn't hear that, but our coach, got super angry and wanted me to be disciplined somehow. So he went to the principal and he wanted to get me kicked off the team. And he said to the principal that I was cussing him out in the dugout that one game, and that I was like using like foul language to him, this and that. And the reality was that this wasn't true at all. I was just talking back to him, which is like, from what I know, like I don't think it's a getting kicked off the team offense. So he went to our principal. Our principal ended up contacting my parents, and then he wanted to have like a meeting with the principal, the JV coach, and the varsity coach or coach, and me obviously, and to talk about like the problems that we were having. Because from that one game on, I noticed that when I would get to practice, he wouldn't even say hi to me. He wouldn't train me, coach me at all. Like, so I knew that he had something against me. So he did this in spite. And fast forward, we get to the interview, and my parents know exactly what's going on. It was super heated in there, by the way. My dad was super mad, and
I think I remember.
Yeah, he was really angry at our coach, and he kind of let him have it in the meeting, and our principal, like, he didn't care. He didn't care at all. And that was what I got from that. And out of that meeting, our coach kept telling our principal that I want him off the team. I'm not gonna coach him. Like, I want him off the team, this and that. And he was like, no, you can't do that. So he can only get off the team if he leaves himself. Now, blah blah. But regardless of that, the outcome of that meeting was that he was like, or our principal said that, okay, you can suspend him for like a couple games at most, but other than that, you can't kick him off the team.
Right.
But yeah, so that's what Jesse's talking about with the suspension. So yeah,
and so that kind of started that. Richard got suspended, and then he kind of left. And this was like, we were already like about to be done with the season. You know, we always ended the season right on time. We never got to playoffs, so we never had to worry about that. And season ends. Now it's our junior year. So yeah, and Matt was talking about how he's a baseball guy. Like, I was too. I played like little league and all that shit, and I was like co-captain, and we had both been on varsity since we were freshmen, so we were like in the program. Well, going into senior year, I got a job at Islands, which I already kind of talked about, and I was kind of missing some practices, you know, because I had work and I was trying to make some money, and he pretty much told me. I remember I was in PE, and he was a PE teacher at the time. And I was like doing my mile, whatever the fuck we do for PE. I was running the mile, and he kind of stops me mid-mile, and he's like, you know, come here. And this is in front of the whole class. It was like, not the whole class, it was like 10 or 15 students. He pulls me, and he's like, look, you can't play baseball and have a job. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? He's like, you can't do both because like it sets a bad example or whatever. And then he was like, so you tell me right here, right now in front of everybody, are you going to have a job or are you gonna play baseball? And I was like, well, I'm not gonna quit my job. And he was like, that's all I needed to hear. And he walked away.
I had no sorry, Matt, real quick, I did not know that happened. Also, I ended up leaving the team because after my suspensions, I realized that like I was gonna get nothing out of playing with this team anymore other than like hanging out with these guys, which I would still go to the games just to hang out with them, but not like I couldn't play. So I ended up voluntarily leaving the team because it was ridiculous, which is why I didn't end up playing my senior year, you know, going into it, because he was the same coach. So anyway, sorry, Matt, what were you saying?
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna say, like, both those things I feel like are things that coaches could do, like at a school where the team is like actually like top tier,
right?
You know, but like just knowing the context that, like, you know, we're going to a school in like that plays in Division 7. We barely like have enough guys to field the team on varsity. Like, it's not that serious, you know. But I mean, it's tough for me because the coach had done a lot of nice things for me, like helping me with baseball career, and it was really tough because like seeing him kind of get like a little too into it, and a little too crazy. But
well, that's why I wanted to kind of give context. Like, I think his coaching tactics were fine, depending like at a different school, like you said, like at a private school or like an institution that has funding and like. Because we didn't have baseball stands. We had 2 benches next to the baseball field, so we like our families couldn't even all watch the game. They'd have to like bring their own chairs and stuff. So it was just like the atmosphere that he was coaching in was different.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we just wanted to touch on that story.
It's all good. We can laugh about it now.
Yeah, exactly. I think
none of us are going to the MLB. So.
now it's definitely like a story, like we're saying. You know, it's something that we can talk about and laugh about. Cause, but anyway, any last words?
Yeah,
because Matt, any last words? Because we're gonna wrap this up a little bit, but want to make sure that our guest says if he has anything to get off his chest, and now's the time to do it.
That was a good experience. Pretty cool, pretty fun.
Yeah. All right. Real quick, guys. You know, first time with our guests. Like we talked about. I don't know. We don't have episode 0 on YouTube. We should really do that. Just at least the audio. So for those that don't know, who didn't get to hear episode 0, we do want to try to get a guest every other week, just to like mix things up and have a new person talking every other week. You know, for you guys, for the audience. So obviously this is our first guest. Like we said earlier, we took 4 hours to set this up, and it's still scuffed. But like, just bear with us. It's only gonna get better from here. We just wanted to thank Matt for coming on, and thank you guys for putting up with it and listening, and to the new dynamic.
We'll have Matt on here again at some point for sure, because when we get more guests in, our plan later on is to have like a bit better setup and have like maybe a bigger table with like, honestly, my plan long term is to have like all of our homies. Like if we can get like 5 or 6, or even more than that. Like obviously that would require a lot more equipment. But I want to do that for sure. But Matt's definitely gonna be on here again. Let us know how you like Matt.
Got this first one under my belt, so
yeah, Matt is our guinea pig. So shout out to Matt. Appreciate it so much, man.
Yeah, and like we wanted Matt to come on here too, because like we've said so many times, we've known Matt for so long. We knew it was gonna be like no judgment. You know, just we're still trying stuff out, as you guys can tell. So this was an experiment, I guess.
Again, just to wrap it up. So our socials, by the time this comes up, our TikTok will be posted. The Noisy Trombone is our handle. Twitter is Noisy Trombone. Most of our social media interactions come from Twitter, so go ahead and please make sure to follow us. Our links are going to be in the description. I didn't put them in last time. I forgot. That's my bad, but I'll for sure make sure to do that. But,
and then we have a new outro too, so like the social should come up right when the episode's done.
We'll have a new intro and outro.
Yeah.
So it hopefully it's gonna be really good. It's totally authentic. You know, I think it's hilarious, and it fits exactly like the what we're trying to do here. So thank you. I appreciate it, and we're out.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.